Welcome to the Catch Up, the series where we just catch up on everything that's happened in the NBA over the past couple days. As you can see, I did change my name to Click Productions because, like I said, I want to get more of a larger perspective from different types of people, more than just Knicks fans, because it isn't going to be just a Knicks page. So if you're here for that, then sorry, but yeah, you got to get out of here. But nonetheless, let's get straight into the video. So last night, the Cavs and the Celtics played Game 3, and unlike Game 1 and 2, the Cavs were just off to the races off the start. This might have been in a large part to having home court advantage over the Celtics, because the Celtics have only won one game on the road this whole entire offseason, or postseason I should say. Really, just from the start, it was just LeBron James setting up opportunities for the rest of his team. He had it so Kevin Love was getting opportunities, he had it so Kyle Korver was getting opportunities, George Hill scored 11 in the first quarter. Boston couldn't contain Cleveland. It was just a complete blowout the whole way through. Cleveland shot 23% higher from the three-point line. Boston shot 27% from three, and Cleveland shot 50, making half of their three opportunities. They made 17 of those. Overall, Boston shot 10% less than the Cavs did from the field. So yeah, it was just a complete dismantling of the Celtics. And Terry Rozier, which he's right about this, said that the Celtics did need this. Although it could be positive and negative. Obviously, it's negative in the fact that they lost, but you could take a positive out of it in the fact that now you could build off of your mistakes. Celtics haven't had many of those throughout this playoff run, but at the same time, you got LeBron started, so that's never a good thing. For topic 2 though, Karl-Anthony Towns supposedly is not in a good place internally with the Timberwolves. I'm not sure how much I believe this. Nonetheless, it was just all over the place. Devin Booker tweeted out a photo of Cat in a really well photoshopped Phoenix Suns jersey, and then following that, Zach LaVine quoted the tweet or something like that, and he tweeted out a picture of Cat in a Bulls jersey, but it was just Snapchat wrote on, so that was about it. In my opinion, I don't think Cat is going anywhere. It doesn't really make sense for the Wolves to do so. They fired his developmental coach, which might have been one of the main things. Not that it would make him consider wanting to leave the team. There obviously has to be more to it, but I don't think it makes sense for Towns to really be leaving the Timberwolves anytime soon, or them to be willing to trade him at all. It reminds me of last season. Obviously, I have close ties with the Kristaps situation because I'm a Knicks fan, and it's the same thing we did with him, because we fired his developmental coach after he was already pissed off at the team, missing the exit meeting, and just overall just confusion throughout the front office. A large part of it had to be with Melo and how they mishandled his situation. Kristaps just wasn't having it. He's the franchise centerpiece, so he decided to stand for it. I haven't seen Towns do anything just yet, but obviously so far there's just rumors. ESPN's Zach Lowe said that he has a good feeling something crazy is going to happen before this summer ends, and it's not a good place right now internally. Obviously, with Kristaps, it was crazy because we were getting Adrian Wojnarowski notifications just about Kristaps potentially being traded. There was a day, 2 days before the draft, and he could have been traded. I don't know if that's going to happen with Towns again. And that flows right into the next topic. Supposedly, Phoenix is open to trading number 1. This news broke, I believe, a little bit after Towns. That whole Towns story came out, and it obviously flowed right into it because they would most likely trade Towns for a number 1 type of pick. Personally, though, I still don't understand why the Minnesota Timberwolves would do this. Towns is a great player. He averaged great numbers this year and last year. He was an all-star this year for the first year, I believe. And it would just be crazy for them to trade a guy. This is the same way I felt with the KP situation last year. I feel like it would be crazy to trade a guy who has potential to be one of the best players in the league. He believes he can be the best player in the league, of course. It just doesn't make sense to take another shot at a guy who's a boom or bust prospect. A guy like DeAndre Ayton, he's very similar to Cat. He could be better, or he could be way worse, because Cat's already one of the top 3 centers in the league and looks like a revolutionary type of player. I don't think it makes sense whatsoever for the Timberwolves to do something like this. I feel like it could be easily repaired. I don't know how deep the situation is, but nonetheless, I don't think it's a type of franchise-changing decision when we've never seen something like this within the Timberwolves before. It's just arising now in the news. On the Suns side, although, the only type of players I would trade the number 1 pick for is a guy like a Town, a Kristaps Porzingis, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, that type of young potential superstar type of player. If you're the Suns, more than likely you should keep the number 1 pick, and I believe they will keep the number 1 pick. So it shouldn't be a big surprise if they don't trade the pick. I feel
tiene mucha ventaja. Ahí está. ¡Oh! ¡Oh! ¡Oh!
I feel like they'd only say they were open to trading it for a guy like a Karl-Anthony Towns. I think draft day comes around, they're still going to have the pick. On to the next topic. Trae Young said that he's the best player in the NBA draft, and also that all he's working towards is being the best player in the league. Now, that's a very cliche answer, of course, but nonetheless, we got to comment on it because I obviously doubt Well, no, I wouldn't say obviously, because there's a lot of people that definitely think Trae Young could be the best player in the draft because he resembles Stephen Curry to a large margin. It doesn't really coincide with me. I don't think he's going to be the best player in the draft. I don't know if he will, because he does have a lot of comparisons to Stephen Curry, and Stephen Curry was never said to be the best player in the draft. He was a great player in college, just like Trae was, but it was always just inconsistencies and not sure if you could rely off three-point shots for your whole career. Obviously, we saw it come to Jimmer Fredette a couple years later. Jimmer was not the best. He's over there in China now, or wherever he is, the D-League, China. So really, when it comes down to a guy like Trae Young, he could be either like Jimmer Fredette or Stephen Curry. It all depends on how you could create your own shot, how you could pass, how you could handle the pressure. Not just the pressure of like media, but literally the pressure of like players doubling you, and if you get what I'm saying. Trae Young did have one of the highest turnover rates in the college basketball last season. Who knows how he'll develop into the NBA. All I know is he seems like the type of guy that will not stop working, so we'll see what happens there. He's defied a lot of odds, obviously. He's not the most athletic or anything type of player, and that's the same thing Stephen Curry was. So we'll see what happens. Anyone could be the best in this draft. On to the next topic, though. Tonight, we have a huge game between the Warriors and Rockets. Game 3, the Warriors in Game 1, they dismantled the Rockets completely, and the Rockets in Game 2 did the exact opposite. They dismantled the Warriors. Large part of Game 2, Steph Curry is just complete struggles. He didn't shoot well from the field. He didn't do much overall. If he could pick it back up this game, Warriors should run away with it, as long as Kevin Durant could keep his output going, because he's been killing it the first 2 games. Second game, he killed it even more, but they lost. He dropped 40 plus. Obviously, he was doing everything in his will to try to win. The biggest X factors in this game are obviously Stephen Curry's production and just the Rockets' role players. PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon went off. They led the team in scoring, I believe, as well as Harden. But let me not stretch this out too much, though, because really all that matters is that the game could go either way. It should be a really entertaining game for both teams, obviously. Kevin Durant, I expect to still have a great output this game. The X factor, like I said, though, is going to be Stephen Curry's production. If he could drop 30 plus and come back and defy his injury, then yeah, we should see a pretty dominant game from the Warriors. Nonetheless, though, guys, that's it for episode 2 of the catch-up. Let me know any type of constructive criticism, if you like the name change. What's your opinions on Cat possibly getting traded, and also who's going to win the Warriors and Rockets game tonight? Thanks if you're returning for episode 1, and also if you're somehow new, because I don't think I'd really gain new subscribers that fast. But that's about it. Cut!